Hey, everybody, and welcome back to episode 4 of the Open Fields podcast. I am your co-hostess with the mostest, Ryan, and with me, as always, is my, we'll give you a little bit of credit, is Ethan Landis. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man, how was your week? Pretty good?
Yeah, it's gone pretty good so far. Had a lot of fun watching football this past weekend. Trip back from Morgantown was pretty all right. No bad weather, and we're back in the Berg. So here we are.
Can't complain about no bad weather. I know that was grammatically incorrect there, but hey, it is what it is. But no bad weather is always a good thing. But so speaking of football, had the AFC and NFC Championship Games this weekend. A little bit of surprise, I think, with the final scores, to me at least. Definitely one of my predictions was wrong. So let's start with the early game. I go with was it the AFC Championship game, Kansas City and Baltimore. I originally picked Baltimore. I was surprised that Kansas City won, but not really if you think about it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Patrick Mahomes wins any football games at this point. I'm also not surprised that Lamar Jackson chokes in the playoffs and can't throw the football. That's just not what I'm surprised about.
And you would think like his the week against the Texans would really kind of get everybody away from how he struggled in the playoffs compared to the regular season. And especially being at home, even for the championship game, you thought he'd perform a little bit better. I didn't watch much of it, so I'm going to kind of just go off of what you saw and what you thought on this one. I did watch a little bit more of the NFC Championship game, more of the second half than the first. But tell me about like really what happened with Lamar Jackson, because as we were talking throughout the week or that day, like you were just, hey, this is why I've always said like Lamar just does not perform well in the playoffs and doesn't make the throws like, Mahomes did or does. And just kind of talk on that and give us your opinion on why you felt that way.
Well, so at this point, Lamar Jackson's 2-4 in the playoffs. That's after losing to Patrick Mahomes this past weekend. Before that, he was 2-3. His only 2 wins coming against, I believe, Ryan Tannehill and a rookie C.J. Stroud and a young Houston Texans team. Right? Every other game, it's crazy because a lot of people tell me Lamar Jackson's a great passer. He can, he can throw the football, right? Well, then every single defensive coordinator that's beat him in the playoffs has had one thing in mind: stop him from running. You can't beat us throwing the football, and it's worked.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's mainly known for running the ball. He's got the most rushing yards in a season by a quarterback. So, I mean, that is really the game plan. So, what is it about his passing that you just feel like? I mean, obviously the stats are there, but he does have pretty good passing numbers every once in a while. But what is it about his passing game that you're just not a fan of?
I don't think he can make the tough throws, and that was really exemplified in this game. He was put in a position where he had to chase the score. He had to try to catch Mahomes, and I think Baltimore got a little jumpy when it came to, Mahomes comes out in his first 2 drives and scores 2 touchdowns, like real quick. Just scores on their defense, seemingly at will in the first 2 possessions. Backside throw to Travis Kelce in the end zone was incredible. He put it wherever he needed to put it. That was the only spot that he could have put it there for Travis Kelce to catch that touchdown against the safety Kyle Hamilton there. And then he just kind of marched down the field again and scored. I think Baltimore panicked and said, okay, this is going to be a shootout. And kind of got away from what made them a good football team, which is running the football. And credit to the Chiefs defense, because Steve Spagnuolo, I believe, is their defensive coordinator, and he had a masterful game plan. He's like, I'm going to take away your run game. I will blitz you and see if you can't beat us passing. And it worked. Lamar Jackson had 1 big pass play, 2 if you count the second pass to Zay Flowers. That was quickly negated because Zay Flowers immaturely, he decided to get a unsportsmanlike penalty and cut him back 15 yards. But, that's another topic we can get into as well. It's just Baltimore was extremely unprepared mentally. They, a lot of dumb mistakes, a lot of dumb penalties. You could tell who had championship DNA and who didn't. And
yes, so that's why I wanted to ask too. Is do you think with that quote unquote immaturity, do you think that the fact that they have only gotten past the first round once, and that was this week or last week with Houston? That's the first time they've gotten past the first round since they beat the Texans a couple years ago. Like, do you feel like the lack of success in the playoffs really hurt them in the AFC Championship game?
Potentially, I think with the young guys like Zay Flowers, sure, that has part to do with it. But the other guys that were getting penalties were veterans. I mean, Kyle Van Noy, he's been to how many Super Bowls with the Patriots, right? And he got a big personal foul where he got baited into a personal foul against Travis Kelce. Another guy, Jadeveon Clowney, he's a veteran. He's been in the league for 10, 15, not 15, but like 10 years now, and he should know better at that point too. And, these are veteran guys that are getting these calls on them. Zay Flowers has the dumb penalty, and then he has trying to make a play. I get it. Zero ball security near the goal line, which is the most important place to have ball security. And he gets it punched out there, and Chiefs recover that. But Lamar's been there before, right? He's been in these situations before, and it's the same page. It's the same book, same verse, and he cannot make the big throws when his team needed it. There were 5 to 6 deep balls that he missed, overthrown. The terrible interception in the end zone when he throws it into a defensive meeting room right there in the middle of the field. And it's just like the decisions that he makes in the play. I think he gets tight. I think he tries to prove that he can throw the football, but again, that's not his game. If people would just tell me, yes, Lamar Jackson is not a great passer, but he can run the football, I 100% agree with you. But I think this last game showed, and the last, however many games where he's gotten beat in the playoffs has showed, he cannot make you the big passes when he's needed to. At least he has it to this point.
Yeah, and I mean, there's definite, talent on both ends of the ball for Baltimore. You've got Jackson, you've got you've got Hill, you've got Edwards on the running the ball, you've got your Zay Flowers. You've got Likely at the tight ends. You've got your guys on offense, and then there's that defense who is always very strong. I guess the old cliche saying goes, big time players make big time plays, and it just didn't seem like. Do you think that the moment or the game itself didn't allow the Ravens to make those plays, and just Kansas City did because they've been there before?
So if you notice what happened in the first half, again, I know you said you didn't watch the game, but from my perspective and kind of watching a little bit of the recaps and other people talk about it and noticing things is, in the first half, the Kansas City came out. They were all guns blazing. They scored in their first 2 drives, 2 touchdowns, and they get a field goal before the half. But in the second half, they only accrued 60 yards total, right? They were in a holding pattern. All Patrick Mahomes did was saying, I'm not going to make a mistake. We're not going to make any mistakes on offense. You cannot beat us. I'm going to give you the long field every time. We're not going to give you any type of scoop and scores. We're not going to give you any momentum with any turnovers. You cannot beat us because you can't score on our defense, because Lamar Jackson can't throw the football against us. That is 100% what the Kansas City Chiefs said. And it worked. Patrick Mahomes was very content taking his checkdowns, little handoffs here and there. And I was very confused at the time because the whole game I'm like, you have to put this team away. You have to put this team away. But then not realizing that's exactly what they're doing. It's like death by 1,000 cuts, right?
Yeah.
They're not moving the ball a lot. They're not getting these big chunk plays. They're not doing this, that, and the other. But what they are doing is running clock. And they're taking time down. They're limiting possessions that Lamar Jackson could have. And eventually Andy Reid put the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hand to ice the game, and he makes a big pass to MVS, and that's the ball game. That is the difference right there.
This is now what, the Chiefs' 4th Super Bowl in the last 6 years?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. That's incredible. That's got to be something to be said about that. Obviously Mahomes and Kelce and the team in general and the coaching staff as well. So let me ask you this kind of a sidebar. With this being the 4th and 5th 4th Super Bowl in 5 years, where does that put Andy Reid up in the coaching ranks? Do you think he's getting up there as one of the best coaches ever?
So here's the thing, right? And it's very reminiscent if you look at it with Belichick and Andy Reid, right? Belichick was always the bridesmaid, never the bride. He was kind of always like second fiddle to Parcells. He was like his Parcells like main guy, right? He was his right hand wherever Parcells went. Belichick was. Then Belichick goes, and then he does. I think was he the coach there whenever they got beat by? Did they get beat by Favre?
Um, not that I can recall.
I think it might have been like late '90s or something like that. Because I remember Desmond Howard ran the like opening kickoff back or something like that in the Super Bowl.
Well, I know. Green Bay won the Super Bowl in 97?
And they beat the Patriots. Was Belichick the coach there at that time or no?
I think it was Parcells. I'll have to check on that.
Either way, right? And then all of a sudden, this dude like lands in Belichick's lap, right? And then they kind of go on this dynastic run. Andy Reid was kind of in a similar situation. He kind of bounced around. Wasn't he like an assistant with Mike Holmgren at one time?
Oh, I feel like you're right. I do recall 100%, obviously being the head coach of Philadelphia.
Yeah, and then he was in Philadelphia. He could never get over the hump in Philadelphia. And then he goes to Kansas City. He has a very good team, right? Alex Smith leads him to, a couple 10-win teams, couple down years, whatever. And then like this kid from Texas just lands in his lap, has one start, and it's like Alex Smith is never going to see another snap after these playoffs. I'm sorry. and then Patrick Mahomes throws for like 5,000 yards in his first season, and it's off to the races. It's incredible what they've done, man. It's Patrick Mahomes' ability to throw the football to every part of the field, deep, middle, short, tight windows, wide open, everything. It has just been incredible, and he always credits Coach Reid too, which is amazing. And if you ever listen to both Kelsey brothers, because they both played for Andy Reid, they both credit Andy Reid with a lot of their success as well. And the guy is extremely liked all around the league, and that I think that's one of the bigger things about his success too, is that he earned the respect of so many players, and so many people love playing for him. And I think it's just he's kind of getting his comeuppance at this point because of getting so close with Philadelphia so many times, and now he just kind of got put into like the perfect position with the perfect quarterback. And now, like you can actually see like what's going on. The guy had McNabb before, but McNabb is not Mahomes. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, some people could argue that, but I mean, the stats right now obviously say different. So I definitely understand that. So I mean, we were both. I was wrong. I picked Baltimore over Kansas City. And yes, I know I'm about to say it. I am not talking about or really want to mention anything Taylor Swift. In this segment here.
Hey, man, we love here, man. I'm all about it.
Yeah, I get it. And I did see actually something really funny today. It was on Facebook or it might have been Instagram that how the number 13 has come into play with this whole thing. Taylor Swift favorite number is 13. The Ravens.
I think it's 87 right now.
Well, it is 87, yes, but I'll get there. I promise. And like some of the things that they pointed out was the Ravens were the 1 seed and the Chiefs were the 3 seed. So like they went like the flight from Tokyo, Japan to Las Vegas is 13 hours.
Have you seen the breakdown? Like this, I got a breakdown.
Not a conspiracy theorist either, by the way, just so you know.
No. So I got a break. Like people have already done this like breakdowns. Like, can Taylor make it to the Super Bowl? And like they did the whole like 17-hour time difference in Tokyo. She gets done at like 11 o'clock. If she gets on a plane by midnight, she can be in Vegas by like 6 a.m. or like 10 p.m. Whatever. Like the day before, and she has the whole day to get. It's insane what people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I also seen some things where it's like this is helping some fathers bond with their daughters, right?
Yeah,
like
I get
that their daughters like show an interest in football because of Taylor Swift, which is one of the wildest things I've ever said in my entire life. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, if that's what it takes and if that's what's happening, that's pretty cool. That fathers are finding common ground with their daughters and just bonding in a little bit of ways.
Yeah, and I see it from that aspect, absolutely. And I feel like there's kind of a thin line, though. Like, how many people, what's the drop off if Kansas City's not in the playoffs right now? Talking about in the bonding between daughters and their fathers, like, does that take away from them? It's just like, I don't know. I feel like it takes away from the actual game, but I can see the upside of it and the positive to it, to where it is, a bonding situation with daughters and their fathers and so on and so forth. But I just thought that was,
though, if Travis Kelce isn't dating Taylor Swift, are they still in the same position? Because I think so.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still the Kansas City Chiefs. Taylor Swift
Correct.
or not.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't disagree with you there. So moving on to the NFC now. So I did watch, like I said, I did watch the second half of this game. Didn't really have to watch, I guess, the first half, but maybe I should have. It was kind of a surprise with Detroit leading 24-7 on the road at halftime. I'm thinking, wow, if they can put this together in San Francisco, this game's done. And then I started watching, and the next thing I know, it's 24-24, and it's 27-24 San Francisco. I'm like, oh, no, shit, like this is a game. So, so, I mean, I thought it was great. San Francisco ended up winning 37-34 on what some people may call some controversial fourth down calls. Depends on who you ask. But, I did get this game right. I did pick San Francisco. Sentimentally, I was maybe picking Detroit a little bit. But, from what you saw, tell me what you thought, and I'll kind of rebuttal with what I thought.
So I'll start off with a funny story, because did I text you this? I don't know. I texted a couple people this because I thought it was hilarious. And so San Francisco comes out at halftime, and I think they score. They go like right down the field, and they score at least a field goal, right? And then I think did they score? They held it like a 4 and out for Detroit, and then I think they scored again.
Yeah, I think there was that.
As soon as that happened, I texted somebody. I don't know if I texted you or if
I don't think it was me.
I said, "Hey, you want to see Detroit blow a 17-point lead within 10
Oh no,
minutes?"
it was me. You're right. It was me. Yes.
I said, "Hey, do you want to see Detroit blow a 17-point lead within 10 minutes?" They did that.
that was pretty wicked. How, like, wow.
And no, I mean, momentum is a thing, right? Momentum
absolutely.
It is a hell of a thing, right?
It is a cruel mistress. It can be.
It sure is. And the thing of it is like, so San Francisco comes out of the second half. They just go march down the field. They didn't get a touchdown, but they scored a field goal, whatever, right? And then they hold Detroit to like a 3 and out, right? That's huge. So then they march right down the field again and score a touchdown. All of a sudden, San Francisco's feeling good. And then they get a Jahmyr Gibbs fumble on like the 25-yard line. And that was curtains for Detroit at that point. I had no faith in them because zero momentum was on their side. San Francisco was playing great defense at that point. Their offense could not be stopped at that point. Christian McCaffrey started getting going. And it was a snowball that was going downhill quick. And they had a couple chances. I get it. But I think they folded. I think that Jared Goff had guys on both of those fourth down plays where he could have completed the pass and extended the drive, but they just didn't do it. I think I saw a stat where as soon as they cranked up the pressure on Jared Goff, his quarterback rating dropped significantly, and he only completed like 2 passes under pressure. So, I mean, at that point, you got a recipe and it's working, and hey, let's start sending guys.
And I'm definitely not going to take anything away from San Francisco as a whole, especially their defense. I still think it's a pretty solid defense. I also think that kind of like with Kansas City, when you've got Mahomes and we don't, well, they've got McCaffrey and you don't, and that to
Brock
me is
Purdy.
big.
Let's put some respect on Brock Purdy's name, man.
Yeah, and I mean he to me, yes, he is earning his respect absolutely. I mean, back-to-back NFC Championship games as Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft, which is pretty.
Slinging it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty unprecedented stuff right there. So, when you have McCaffrey, at any time, I mean this dude can just take it to the house, and I think that
pass it off a dude's forehead, complete to right in the IU. I mean, come on.
That was a crazy thing too. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
that's another like example of momentum carries things, right? At that point, they're starting to roll, and then just like crazy shit like that just happens to go in the favor of the people that have momentum, and it's just tough to overcome.
Yeah. So Detroit gets down. They're falling behind now, and they get down to inside San Francisco territory, and it's 4th and 2, and not once did they go for it and miss it earlier, but then when it really came down to it, 4th and 2, and they decided to pass, and they didn't get it, turn the ball over, and that really allowed San Francisco to kind of ice the game. What were your thoughts on the 4th down calls? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? Because I've seen a lot of people. Dan Campbell said, he defended his 4th down calls. What do you think?
I respect it because he's kind of staying true to form. He's not changing up what his game plan is, right? They went to for 4th down more than any other team in the league this year, and they were pretty successful at it. So he didn't deviate, right? He kind of knew what his hand was, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna go for it, and he trusted his guys. And again, like I said before, Jared Goff had dudes. He could have completed those passes, man. He was under pressure. I get it, but like Reynolds on both passes, wide open both times. I think it might have been Reynolds one pass and St. Brown the next pass or something, but
yeah,
they were open.
Yeah, and I think to me, like, not necessarily the 4th down calls that really changed the momentum, or really got the momentum for sure in San Francisco's favor, was to me that the 3rd down call that they tried to run the ball in with Montgomery at the goal line. I think that's the big one, because not only did that take up more time, they had to use a timeout after that play. If you pass, obviously if you miss it, the clock stops. When they ran the ball inside of, I think there was a minute and a half left, and they decided they had to take the timeout because they didn't get the 1st down or the 4th down. They got 2 4th down. I'm sorry. They ended up scoring, yes, but they took all that time. They had to use the timeout, which essentially, if they didn't get the onside kick at that point, the game was over anyway, because they could stop it twice, but there was just too much, not enough time left. So I think that was really the big call over, to me, the 4th down calls. But that's just how I saw it. You throw a pass on the 1 yard line instead of trying to run Montgomery in, which some people might have think, that's the call to go with. I thought a pass, you had basically passed your way down to the 1 yard line. Why not stick with it? But I think that was the biggest play of that last probably 4 or 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, I think also in that 1st down play to the tight end that got him to the 1, he has to get the end zone. He can't.
Stepping out did hurt, yes.
He can't go towards the sideline there. He has to get in the end zone. You're a big body dude. Put a body on a body and let's see what happens, right? You have to kind of fight your way in the end zone. You can't get. I mean, again, this is us saying it as fans here. I understand this, but that's a championship play, right? You got to put your nose down. Similar situation happened in the Chiefs game against Buffalo. Travis Kelce puts his head down and gets in the end zone. You know what I mean? You have to get there, and that's just one of those things where you have to play off of that, obviously. But I think that hurt the most, because it's like if you get in the end zone there, then you're not in the position to make these like B, C, and D plays after that.
Yeah, I got you.
I think, and I was listening to Pat McAfee, and the second 4th down was a little more questionable because it's already a 2-possession game. You have to kick an onside kick anyways. Why not take those points right there and then put yourself in a better position? Like, hey, maybe something happens and we can go down and get 7, right?
Yeah.
You would have more time at that point. But I don't know how much they trust in their kicker in those situations. That's another thing that came up. I don't know who their kicker is, to be honest with you, off the top of my head. If it's a guy like Justin Tucker, you kick that field goal, right? And then you kind of live with the bounces of it. He put a good kick on the onside when he did. Kind of got illegally touched, but wasn't a
Michael Badgley is the kicker.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like the second one. The second one is kind of a little more egregious because, I mean, the game's on the line. You already have to kick an onside kick. It's a 2-possession game. Why not take the points and kind of see where it goes and put yourself in a better position down the road? The first one I totally get, but it's a tough call. But
Yeah.
it's just, I think the first one is a little more forgiving. The second one's kind of like, why not take the points?
Yeah, I got you. So, like I said, I picked San Francisco, so made my pick right. As much as I would have loved to have seen Detroit get to the Super Bowl, I just thought San Francisco was just too good of a team, too much of a powerhouse, to really get past, especially on the road for Detroit. So here we are, set up for the Super Bowl. San Francisco and Kansas City, kind of going against the whole logo conversation we had last week, huh?
Did I send you that meme?
I think so. Yes.
It had the Super Bowl logo, and it had like the purple and the redness, or whatever, and then it had the MythBusters guys below it, and it said
Busted. Yeah. So we're what? Just under 2 weeks away.
Sure are. Yep.
From the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a good one. I think it matches up really well. Personally, and like I've said in the past, I have family that are Chiefs fans, and I'm to the point where I can't stand when the same teams get to the Super Bowl, the World Series, the NBA Finals, over and over and over again. I like parity in sports, and I get that. I do. They have that's right. You're right, and I get that. If you want us out, then beat us.
Yeah.
But to me, I want to see different teams. I want to see. I don't want to see, and I get like the NBA Finals for 4 straight years was Cleveland and Golden State. Yeah, I'm a Cavs fan.
10. It felt like 10.
And I mean, I get it. I'm a Cavs fan, so like to me, it was okay, and I'm sure Kansas City Chiefs fans, 4th time in 5 years, are okay with it. But when your team's not in it, you want to see something different. But I still think it'll be a good game. And before we got on here, you had said that you may have changed your pick for the Super Bowl. So 100%. Go ahead. Let's talk about it. And what changes have you made, Ethan?
Well, so that's 2 weeks in a row that the San Francisco 49ers have got down by double digits and then had to come back. You give that to Patrick Mahomes, you're going to be down by double digits for a long time. Right? And
probably going to end up being down double digits when the clock hits 0.
100%. And, I kind of said in the last episode that I wanted to see how the teams played. And, Mahomes showed that, he still has his fastball, obviously. Right? He can score kind of whenever he wants to, and he can kind of manage the game whenever he wants to. That's one of the biggest things that, I think he's kind of developed into as a quarterback is he can have the high-flying offense, and he can score on you in 35 seconds if he needs to. But he can also bleed you dry when he needs to, too. And, that goes along with him and Andy Reid kind of working in sync. Like, listen, let's not make any mistakes. These guys can't beat us doing X, Y, and Z. Just don't turn the ball over. We'll be fine. And I think Detroit got tight, whenever, like, the kind of pressure got put on them. Because there's always, like, a point where the momentum can swing and it can like break through a team, or it can kind of level out, right?
Yeah.
I don't see the Kansas City Chiefs buckling under that pressure situation, right?
No, because they've been there before.
Yeah, they've been there before. They're not going to buckle in any situation. They know they have 15, and they know they have 87. And in a game where it counts, those are 2 numbers that I'd like to have on my team. And yeah, I'm going with Kansas City. I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes. Never have, and not going to start. So, you know what? I can't lie. That'd be a lie. I kind of did bet against Burrow because I thought Burrow would get him again. But no, otherwise, he also only active quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, Joe Burrow.
That is true. And I'm sorry that I missed that. I missed what you had said in the text message that he had sent me. So he had said, the only active quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs is Joe Burrow, and I missed where he said active, and I sent him a Tom Brady gif, and he's like, yeah, read what I said again there, buddy. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, you did say that, because I'm like, wait a minute, Brady beat him, but he's not active. So. But
San Francisco doesn't have either of those guys.
Yeah, but then like I said before, like I kind of go back to the whole we've got McCaffrey, you don't. Not to take away from from Debo, from Ayuk, from Kittle. and that offensive line that has just really provided for McCaffrey. McCaffrey, sorry, and like you said, put some respect on Purdy's name. I feel like to the point where you had said that Mahomes can kind of bleed you dry. He knows how to call the game. I think Purdy's getting up there. I mean, he's really
good.
controlled. He's really controlled that offense really well in the last 2 years. I mean, it does help to have McCaffrey. It does help to have those guys on that side of the ball. But for someone who actually they played really well at Iowa State as well. That was just the type of quarterback he is and was. But I think it's going to be a very good game, like I said. Early in the season,
potentially.
Yes, but early in the season, Kansas City's defense was not playing well. And yes, the offense for Kansas City has the ability to literally put you down 14-0 in a matter of moments. So I get that. But their defense is playing really well of late. And I'll give them that. And to have Pacheco to have Rice, on that offense is really been kind of a bonus for them as well. So yeah, it's going to be kind of
down.
Yeah, absolutely, and
he's
it's the conversation. It's like the conversation we had the other day. That a guy was talking about how Patrick Mahomes could be the MVP of this league because of the numbers that he has put up, even though they are, in Patrick Mahomes terms, are very subpar. But like half of his interceptions were off of deflections. So either add those to completions, which means more yards, or even touchdowns, which means even more touchdowns. This dude is, again, the MVP of the league. But, like they say, Godzilla was a baby dinosaur once. It is what it is. So, I get it.
He's the best player in the league, and it's not close. He's kind of getting to the Jordan in the mid-'90s territory, right? You can give the MVP every single year, but are we going to?
Well, I mean, MVP it's for the regular season, and
right.
He performs better in the playoffs.
100%. But the thing of it is, though, is that he's kind of getting into that territory where like they kind of judge his numbers off of his previous numbers, kind of like Jordan. And
okay, well, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, right. But I mean, you kind of have to judge him against his competition as well. If he's still throwing like 4,500 yards, and you're saying, "What's a down year for Patrick Mahomes?" The next best guy has like 37. I mean, like, what are we doing at that point?
I get it.
So
I mean, but like you said, your Jordan comparison. Jordan scores 37 in a year, and then next year scores 32. I mean, it's still phenomenal numbers. Doesn't take away from it.
No, yeah, but I think that's what happens when you get into the conversations about MVP sometimes, especially when you have a guy that is just at this level that he's performing is just head and shoulders above everybody else. You kind of have to find some way to fault him and not give the MVP to him every single season. That's what they did with Jordan in the 90s, right? There's no reason Karl Malone should have had an MVP over Michael Jordan. Not one reason.
Looking back, maybe. I mean, I understand. But that Utah Jazz team, I know it's a different sport now, but that Utah Jazz team was pretty damn good.
I mean, it pissed Jordan off, and they beat the Jazz every single year in the finals. So I guess
they were in back-to-back finals too. So I mean, he had a leg to stand on.
Yeah, but no, back to Mahomes though. Like you said, if he wanted to, he can put up like 5,000 yards a season. It just seems like at that point. But this regular season, and Nick Wright, I don't agree with everything Nick Wright says, and he's a little bit bombastic about Mahomes, but he made a good point. It's like the regular season is basically 17 practice games for the Chiefs at this point to get to the playoffs. they just got to win enough, and they're in the playoffs, and then they start playing, right? Because that's what it seems like every single year at this point. We every single year for the past like 3 years, it's been, well, the Chiefs aren't this, the Chiefs aren't that. They're a little more vulnerable. They're this, that, and the other, and then they get to the playoffs, and they're just better than everybody. They have a switch that they flip, and it is game over in the playoffs. And to my point earlier, that the San Francisco Giants have let their opponents get ahead of them by double digits every single game this postseason, pretty much. I mean, the Packers got out to, I think, a 10-point lead, 14-point lead. The Lions were 17 points ahead, and they erased it really quickly. I do not see that happening with a Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid-led Chiefs team. if you get into a hole that's like 17 points down, good luck, because what the Chiefs have been doing very phenomenally is covering receivers like blankets at this point, and they also stop the run very well. I mean, Baltimore didn't try to run, but the times they did try to run, they kind of got stuffed, right? Gus Edwards had one big run for like 15 yards, but that's about it. But they're going to try to make your worst asset the way you have to play. And Spagnuolo is a unbelievable defensive coordinator. I heard nothing but praise for him from everybody. If Rex Ryan says you're an amazing defensive coordinator, you're doing something right. Because Rex Ryan was a phenomenal defensive coordinator in his own right. And that he he dictated the way that the Ravens played the game and not the other way around, which is impressive.
All right, so then let's get to it. Let's get down to the nitty gritty here. You've picked the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. I personally, I'm going with my original pick. I'm going with the Niners. Okay. What's your score prediction?
That's tough. It's tough because on one hand, I want to say it's going to be a blowout because 2 weeks in a row, San Francisco's given up a ton of points and they've just had to claw back. And I don't think that's going to happen. If they give up a ton of points to begin with, I don't think they're coming back. On the other hand, they're a good team, and good teams always find a way to like rise to their competition. Just sometimes it takes them a whole half to do so. I'll go 35-21, Kansas City.
Okay, that's pretty good. And I'm going to come back to, again, as you said, put some respect on Brock Purdy's name. Yeah. I mean, the guy is just playing phenomenal right now, and I really believe the fact that, you know, it is a what have you done for me lately kind of situation, and he's played really well. Mm-hmm. Once again, they have Christian McCaffrey, they've got Debo, they've got Ayuk, they've got Kittle. All those guys can change the game in an instant. I'm still not convinced. I mean, even though they have been playing really well, I'm still not convinced with the I don't want to say solidarity, but just how good or bad Kansas City's defense really is.
Dude, they're ranked like second overall in the league.
Then I must have been looking at the wrong numbers because they did not do well to at least through the midway point of the season, from what I recall.
Yeah, they're the second ranked defense in all of football, behind Baltimore.
Then I stand corrected then.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what the thing is, though. I didn't realize that going into the game last week that it was like the two best defenses, Baltimore and San Francisco, or not San Francisco, Baltimore and Kansas City. Mm-hmm. I mean, basically, Kansas City did everything that Baltimore did except the turnovers, basically, in the regular season. That's the one thing that put Baltimore over the top was that they create a lot of turnovers, and that's, you know, again, Andy Reid's like, we're not going to turn the ball over, you can't beat us.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. Very good point. I'm actually trying to look it up now here. So, but anyway, to my point was, you know, I am a firm believer that I mean, Christian McCaffrey coming over from Carolina, me as a Bucs fan seeing him twice a year, you know, I mean, is a human highlight reel. I mean, he is an all-purpose machine. Mm. You know, that's where it's going to start. If he's healthy, which he has been. Yeah, he did, and that looked pretty. I mean, it didn't look gruesome, but it looked kind of like, you kind of cringed a little bit. You know, given his injury history, you know, you're thinking, oh well, here we go again. Yeah. If he's healthy, and you know, I still think San Francisco. I think it's going to be close. You said 35-21?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going 37-34, same as last week. That's how close I'm thinking. 37-34, San Francisco.
I think Kansas City comes out, and if they get the ball first, I don't even think it matters, but if they get the ball first, I think they march down the field. I think Patrick Mahomes scores at will. Similar to what happened last week with Detroit, man. They came down, they just went right down the field, and within like 2 minutes, they had 7 points on the board. And if Detroit could do that, Patrick Mahomes can score in 30 seconds. So let's be real. I think, you know, with the secondary that Kansas City has, I think they can clamp up a little bit. You're not going to stop them completely because guys like Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are going to get theirs. And of course, I think they're underutilizing George Kittle a lot. I still think he's the second best tight end in the league, but you're not seeing big numbers out of him that you used to. You know what I mean? But that can change. They could be like, all right,
well, could.
Hey, throw it to Kittle, see what happens, and he could turn into a big game. But on the other end, I don't see a matchup for Travis Kelce for San Francisco. I mean, you got Fred Warner, but if you're going to take Fred Warner out of the middle of the field, Pacheco can gash you, and they got so much over there, man.
They got a lot of weapons, and they always have.
Well, I mean, their receivers aren't any like household names. But like Rashid Rice is really, really good. He's kind of come into himself, and MVS has made big plays the past couple weeks. But Patrick Mahomes, 15 is their ultimate weapon. You can't keep it out of his hands. That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's true.
He has to touch the ball every down. Christian McCaffrey, if if the run game's not going, you can kind of toss it to him. You can pass it to him, but he's relying on someone else. And Brock Purdy's playing a good quarterback, but you can't keep the ball out of 15's hands, right? He has to touch the ball. So, I mean,
well, like I said, here's to hoping it's a great game. I think it's going to be, based on my score prediction. Here's to hoping Taylor Swift gets there on time and no problems with the travel or anything like that. But
she's going to hop into PJ. She'll be there in no time.
Absolutely. So, well, hey, buddy. So I know we kind of talked about this earlier before we got on here, and I kind of wanted to switch it up. Obviously, going from the sports thing to something I've kind of wanted to, and I feel like this is why I wanted to bring it up with you, is because talking baseball, you and I, especially baseball, you and I always have, for lack of better terms, the unpopular opinion. And that's what I kind of wanted to bring up was unpopular opinions.
Is mostly unpopular with one person. That's just
that's me.
Well, and two. I'll take two.
I was going to say a lot of the things that you say, especially Yankee based. No, not a fan. Wow. But I guess you could say that about every Yankees fan. They're gonna, they're gonna argue till they're blue in the face with everything. But I'll give you your credit where credit's due. Sometimes you're right, but is what it is. So some unpopular opinions I've been thinking about, and I get this a lot from our group chat that we're in, just like little simple things. And I want to get other people's opinion who watch this video, who listen on Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the streaming services. Is my first one, and I know this is crazy, is pineapple on pizza. I do not agree that pineapple should go on pizza. Not at all.
I think we're in the majority here. I really do. I think more people would say that pineapple doesn't belong on pizza than do. I think those people are the weirdos, to be honest with you.
Well, like I said, my dad, I believe he said he likes pineapple on pizza. I know other people that we've had, like I said, in our group chat, agree pineapple goes on pizza. Me personally, I don't. I get where you can get the sweetness with the pineapple and the pizza sauce and it goes together. I don't get it, but I am not a fan of pineapple on pizza.
The most surprising part is you said Doogie likes it, because Doogie's extremely picky.
That is very true. He really is.
You know what I mean? And I don't understand that. I don't even like cooked pineapple. I like fresh, like uncooked raw pineapple. That's what I like. And if you cook pineapple, I think it makes it worse. That might be my unpopular opinion.
There you go. Okay. As I say, you got a favorite pizza topping that, to me, like, I don't mind sardines on it.
I honestly have never had sardines on a pizza. That's kind of one of those things that, like, people, like, stop making it at some point because they're like, nobody gets this. My favorite, honestly, is just banana peppers. That's my favorite.
See, I can do sweet peppers. I cannot do mushrooms. I absolutely cannot do mushrooms.
See, I can do mushrooms. I can get a nice supreme pizza. My least favorite topping that I've actually had on a pizza is definitely olives, though.
I don't do olives either.
Well, besides pineapple, but no, I don't do olives. I don't do pineapple. Pretty much everything else I'm pretty good with. I'm not that picky when it comes to pizza. But yeah, my ultimate pizza It was like pepperoni, onions, banana peppers, and you can put sausage on there too. And I am just ecstatic.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
See, I'm a pepperoni and bacon guy. I like
I can do
simplistic,
bacon
just
too.
yeah, pepperoni and bacon. That's all. I can tell you one place that in Romney that used to have. It's not open now. They've shut it down. But they used to have the best pepperoni and bacon pizza was Mario's.
Okay.
Mario's was so good.
Yeah, okay, so quick story, real quick about pizza, and shout out to Mr. Kogel on this one. It's weird calling him Ken. To this day, it's still weird calling him Ken. But here we go. So my senior year though, so we had we got a pizza for our AP government class, and we had the local hookup, and we got what we referred to as the Ulta Meat Lovers Pizza. Every meat besides sardines that they had in that place was on this pizza. I'm talking. We had pepperoni, we had sausage, we had hamburger, we had steak, we had everything, bacon. Everything was on this pizza. And you know what this guy did? I covered it in my damn buffalo chicken dip. I put that shit over there too, and I just had every bit about that. It was so good.
Okay, so that brings me up to my another pizza question. Is I have to have ranch with my pizza.
I'm a hot sauce guy.
Okay, I mean I can understand that.
You know what? I can do ranch on pizza too. If I dip pizza in ranch, I'm cool with it. But if my first is like buffalo or hot sauce, I'll get my pizza. I'll like pour some crystal hot sauce, best hot sauce in the game, on there. Or if I have like a side of buffalo, I can dip it in the buffalo.
Okay, so what about ketchup on eggs?
Depends. Scrambled eggs I can kind of do. That's fine. But when it comes to like on like a breakfast sandwich with eggs and like bacon or something, I'm a mustard guy.
Okay, so the egg with the yolk in the middle, what do you call it?
Egg with yolk in the middle. Is it flipped over or is it? Because there's sunny side up and there's over easy.
Okay, what do you call it over easy?
Yeah, but I mean there's also over medium too.
Well, see, I call I call it the dippy egg. Like that's what I call it.
Yeah, I mean like that's that's kind of standard, but I've had to learn the difference between the two because like if you order them at like a restaurant or something like that, if you get them over easy, sometimes they're a little slimy, so you have to get them over medium, and it's a little bit better. But so I've just kind of like reverted to calling it how it's made. But if it's sunny side up or like over easy or over medium,
it's always been a dippy egg to me, so that's what I'll stick with. Even at 39 years old right now, I still call it the dippy egg. So you said you're a hot sauce guy, so
yes.
I know I mentioned ketchup, but I prefer when I'm eating like scrambled eggs specifically, I go ketchup and hot sauce if I have it.
I can do that. Yeah, for sure.
That is my go-to on eggs.
Or like when you have like hash browns or like home fries, man, some hot, like Tabasco or some hot sauce on some hot home fries. Mix that up with your breakfast and some like sausage or an omelet, dude. It is in there.
So with us being from West Virginia, as we mentioned in the conversation with Abby a couple episodes ago, being from West Virginia and how she followed Jay Will and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Being from West Virginia, what's your thoughts on Scrapple? Have you ever had Scrapple?
Not that I can recall, honestly. I really haven't. And in my years, I don't think I've ever had Scrapple, to be honest with you. If I do, I don't remember it. It wasn't that memorable. It wasn't more than one time if I did.
Gotcha. Yeah, actually, I don't mind Scrapple. I'm kind of a picky eater. I mean, obviously, my son, who for those who don't know, is autistic and is the pickiest eater, and I think that comes with the autism. He's eaten 5 things.
What's your excuse then?
Well, I'd have none. I legit have none. With the autism, he's eating chicken nuggets, he's eating pizza, he's eating, as he calls them, and it's the most adorable thing ever. And to this day, I still think I call him all this. It's not waffles, it's waffles, as he would say. He calls them waffles. Yes, the fuffles. The waffles, French toast. That's really all he eats.
By the way, so I have an opinion. Speaking of those, just as I jump in here, waffles over pancakes every day of the week.
What type of waffle? Are we talking Eggo? Are we talking Belgium?
No. Like made like waffle iron waffles
Okay.
over pancakes every day of the week. I'm not a pancake guy.
I don't know. My stepmom can make some pretty banging pancakes,
They're too
and
filling,
some
man.
pretty. And I do like her Belgian waffles too. So
They're
I'm
too.
I'm torn on that one.
I can eat like 2 waffles to one pancake. Just pancakes are just so dense and filling. I think that's it. Kind of ruins the rest of breakfast for me.
I'm also eating sausage and bacon and
Not me,
eggs and
man.
all the other fixings with it too. So
That just that pancake just kind of like does up in your stomach, and it's just like a brick, and it just and you feel like shit afterwards. Like you need to go take a nap after you just woke up. It's not a good way to start the morning.
well, I'm a breakfast anytime guy anyway, so I could eat it anytime. So
No,
here's
no,
another one I had.
no, go ahead with your story too, because I interrupted you. Sorry about that. You're talking about
Oh, I'll be honest. I don't even remember where I was. I don't remember what it was now.
he
Got
eats
me.
waffles and your wafflefuls rather, and you were kind of like going down the line of like what he ate, like
Oh, it's just yeah, like here I'm trying to, and that's what kind of has, as much as I love pizza, it's kind of gotten me. I don't want to say like turned off to pizza,
mhm.
but when I'm eating the same things, because when I have him, I'm eating the same things. I'm eating pizza. He's eating pizza bites. That's another thing he likes. So it's kind of turned me off a little bit to pizza, but I mean that's pretty much it.
What about okay? So pizza rolls or slash pizza bites or pizza bagels?
Pizza bagels.
Yes, yes. But there, so I did find another recipe you can do. That's like these like firecracker pizza bites, where like you fry them and then you toss them with some like buffalo ranch. Dude, it is so good.
And for those who don't know too, like during the week, if Ethan, or especially on the weekend, Ethan will send me like a picture of what he's cooking, especially in like a air fryer or the crock pot or whatever. And I'll tell you, man, whatever you make, they look freaking good. Like
Hey,
they look so good.
I appreciate that. I try my best. I'm kind of like a food connoisseur a little bit. I like exploring with different recipes and stuff like that, and I like trying things I've never tried before.
And it's
Um,
funny your coffee of choice is shit, but whatever.
what black? Like like the Lord intended it?
Disgusting.
No, that's how you're supposed to drink it. You're supposed to drink the coffee. You're supposed to taste the coffee bean, not the creamer.
Let's see. I'm drinking coffee in this, and
Yeah.
this is very important because I'm bringing this up next.
Okay.
Is it's cold. I
You're gonna be
cold
wrong, but
coffee.
whatever.
No, cold coffee is disgusting. Ah,
Okay, that's yeah. I mean, unless it's like a cold brew, like a nitro cold brew from like Starbs or something, I can do
it's still cold. It's still gross.
that.
So my next unpopular opinion, and I know some of the group chat fellow gentlemen will probably definitely disagree with this, is obviously you saw Central Perk. I'm a massive, massive Friends fan. To me, Seinfeld is not as funny as Friends. Now,
That-
I know you sigh, and I did some research. The last episode of Seinfeld did garner 76 million people to watch it, compared to
yeah.
52.5 million to Friends. I get it, the numbers are there, but I cannot get into Seinfeld. Like The Office, it took me a long time to get into The Office too.
Here's the thing about Seinfeld. It's a very unique way of presenting comedy, right? Um, it's not as bombastic as like Friends is, with like the pivot, that type of shit. Like Seinfeld's very dry humor,
Oh,
um,
very much so.
and I think that's kind of the niche of it. And like if you appreciate that dry humor, you think it's a lot funnier.
But see, I appreciate The Office too. Like I
Yeah,
appreciate that, and that's kind of the same dry humor. But I can't do it with Seinfeld. I don't know why.
I think The Office is a little more tongue in cheek though.
Okay, that's fair.
Like playing like pranks on Dwight and stuff like that. Like that's like really like really tongue in cheek, just kind of um like overt. It's you know what I mean. It's kind of a setup to be funny. Like Seinfeld, like unless it's like Kramer, like being all off the walls. Like Jerry is very subtle with his jokes, and I think that's kind of like the charm of Seinfeld, which is a lot of people appreciate that.
And I don't mind like Jerry as a comedian. There's
Yeah,
just the show itself, I just couldn't do. I don't know. Maybe they tried too hard with Kramer. I don't know. I
yeah,
just
he's a
was
little over
never
the
a
top.
big fan. Or maybe they tried even more hard, or they tried harder with with George.
Hmm.
I mean, he did have some good one. I still to this day will still repeat the one line. It's Festivus for the rest of us. Like
Festivus for the rest of us. No soup for
that's
you.
the no soup for you. Like those are the only two lines I will ever spit from Seinfeld. Now you tell me you start talking about Friends. I can use that in literally my vernacular in everyday life.
I mean, of course, I'm not that big into Friends. We've had this conversation before. It's one of those things where it's like you find more humor in Friends than I do for sure. But there were a couple really, really funny Friends jokes. My favorite one was when the girl was trying to tell Joey that she was going to go visit the Met. And he's like, nah, you don't want to visit the Mets. The Mets suck. You want to see the Yankees. That's a good one.
I couldn't imagine why you thought that would be funny.
No, the Mets singular. Well, which one? They all suck.
Which one? They all suck. So, and it's funny you say that because my favorite line out of Friends is, so it was the episode with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Courtney Cox's character Monica thought he was cute and had Jennifer Aniston's character Rachel go over and was like ask him out and so on and so forth, and they kind of got into it and back and forth, and he ends up going on the date with Rachel and not Monica, and they get into an argument and Phoebe has to break it up, and knowing Phoebe and the character, she was one that she lived on her own from an early age, so on and so forth. Anyway, so she breaks up their fight and she's got them both by the ears and everything. And she's like, she looks at him and they're like, they finally agree to, stop fighting. And she just looks at him. She goes, if this was prison, you'd both be like my bitches. And the first time I ever heard that, I laughed my ass off with that.
That's funny. That's a good
and
one.
I've laughed some really good ones, and that the one is the one that sticks out to me most. And I've never laughed that hard in my life with a one liner like that. But I thought it was hilarious. But to me, Friends is tops. I mean, I do love How I Met Your Mother and Big Bang Theory. Those are my other three. But just to me, Seinfeld was just never up there.
I think the sitcom itself has kind of died out a little bit in recent years when it came to when streaming became really popular. Because, I know growing up, my parents always watched Friends. It was I don't know what night it was on. It was a Wednesday or Tuesday night or something like that.
Wednesday or Thursday, I think.
Every Thursday we were watching Friends, right? I think that kind of what turned me off to it to begin with, because that's the only thing I could watch at that point. And I didn't understand the jokes at the time, growing up.
You never do. It's your parents are on a diet, then that means you're on a diet.
Yeah.
Friends on Thursday, that's what you're watching.
Hey, that's what we're watching, man. So, and I think recently, the sitcoms kind of died down a little bit. There hasn't been as good sitcoms. My sense of humor more aligns with the South Parks of the world, the Family Guys of the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Never got really into American Dad, but Seth MacFarlane, he can make a lot of stuff funny. That's just, and again, I guess that's kind of where it grew up, watching South Park and oh, we're not supposed to be watching this. This is funny. This is that and the other. I think that's kind of where that came from in the beginning with. Mm-hmm. And it kind of just, they've been doing it forever. So that type of humor is what I more side with than the
absolutely
everyday humor type of thing.
So I got a couple more here. I know that one was kind of my big one. I have one more for sure that's going to kind of spark a debate between us. Okay. I've been back and forth with this one. Currently, I'm on Team Apple. I find Apple to be superior to Android. But
I'm with you. I have an iPhone.
Yeah. I have I'm recording on an iMac right now. I have an iPhone. I have an iPad. But at one time I was all Android. That's to me, it was one point I was pro Xbox compared to PlayStation. I am now pro PlayStation. So the one big one, one of the other ones that I had was, I think personally, and I'm a movie buff. I love movies. I can watch pretty much any type of movie, I think. I think Top Gun is an overrated movie.
Oh, okay. So this is okay. I disagree with that completely. I'll let you lay your foundation for your argument, and I'll rebuttal.
I think there are only a select few movies. I think it's I don't know if it's from the sex appeal, from the how interesting fighter pilots are, or maybe it was just Tom Cruise. I've just never been a big fan of Tom Cruise.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I get how it's like a manly movie and all this. I just don't find it to be that good of a movie.
So, a little background on Top Gun. It was one of like my favorite movies growing up as a kid. I didn't know much about like the story of it. All I knew that Goose died and Maverick got pissed off and blew up a bunch of Russian MiGs. That's basically what I knew about it to be like whenever I was young, and I thought it was really cool because Maverick has this like cool like call sign, and that's his nickname, and this that and the other. And after I went back and watched it, like I really loved like the story of it. Right, this hotshot pilot, he kind of gets into a situation where his co-pilot dies, and he has kind of self-doubts about his flying. Is it his fault? How do we, how do I get past this? And kind of overcomes that mental block, and then becomes like the best pilot in the squad, and helps his squad out of a tight spot, and goes and saves the day. I think that's like a really really, and then of course there's like the kicking Kenny Loggins soundtrack of the 80s there, and
well, if there is one plus side, it's Kenny Loggins.
Well, I mean, and then they also filmed like inside of real jets at that point, I'm pretty sure. I think that had never been done before. And the action sequences are kind of cool, and it kind of gets you interested. Like, oh man, it'd be kind of sweet to be a fighter pilot, this, that, and the other. And I don't know, that's where I kind of got into it. So,
and like I said, I mean, I can watch action movies. I did like Jack Reacher, the movie that he did. I did enjoy that. I really enjoy the TV show, by the way, on Amazon Prime. Superb, by the way.
Oh, Alan Rickson's a beast.
Absolutely, and he's from Blue Mountain State, which I really love, which is really that one-liner type of slapstick comedy, crude. Which is hilarious. Yeah, absolutely, crude humor.
College humor is like basically how I would describe it. I mean, because it takes place at a college.
Yep. Absolutely,
but that is like that's the encompassing. Like it is like college, like kind of frat boy humor is what it is.
So I like I said, I don't really have a one definitive reason on why. I just trying to watch it. It just, to me, I just was never entertained. I just didn't get into it.
When's the last time you watched it? Let me ask you that.
I don't think I've ever truly watched it from start to finish. Only because I could never get into it.
I think that's a problem. I think if you kind of look back on it, if you tried to watch it again, like now, and you actually just like sat down and watched all the way through it, you might enjoy it. Maybe not. I could be wrong. But if it's one of those things, like I've had to go back and watch movies like that, where like initially I couldn't stand it, and then I went back and watched it, and I was like, okay, that's pretty good. Like one of my examples for that is like, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Okay.
So it came out like the early 2000s. I never understood the premise of it. I never understood the humor in it. I never understood any of that. But I went back and watched it more recently, and I'm like, that's a good movie. You know what I mean? It's very funny. It's very like on brand for like the time period. A lot of like time period based humor was in there. It was really really good. And
but that happens a lot though. Like when the older you get, the more you start to understand the movie, the funnier it becomes. For me, it was Dumb and Dumber, and that's why it became one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. Is because I'm now on. It would come out in 1994. I'm 10 years old. I don't necessarily get that type of humor at that point. Getting to 16, 17, 18 years old, watching it again, and you're like, oh shit, that's hilarious.
No, yeah, and I was never exposed to that until like I was in my like I was like 12, 13 years old. So kind of in that zone where like that was like the demographic that they made that movie towards. It's like 13 to like 17-year-old boys, basically, was like that humor. And
absolutely.
That's when I was like first exposed to it. And it was, it was really funny. And still to this day, it definitely gets a laugh out of me, only because like it's one of those movies where you can like quote along with it, and like you're laughing along with the quotes that you're making.
Yeah, absolutely. And no matter how many times I watch it, I will still laugh hysterically.
Oh, 100%. But and so okay, going back to Top Gun though, if you watch the first Top Gun and you end up enjoying it, I would highly recommend watching Maverick, like the second.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure. And if I do actually, find that to be entertaining, then absolutely. I mean, how could it not be, the sequel? So like I said, it might be from a Tom Cruise standpoint, just not a fan of his movies.
I'll tell you what, a fighter pilot is the most intimidating he's going to be because the man's like 5'4". So
True.
I mean,
I didn't mind. I don't mind some of his Mission Impossible movies. I will say those were pretty good.
They were good. I think I've watched the first, I think 3. After that, I mean, I kind of lost interest in it. When it came to like movies like that, like Mission Impossible, I'm a Jason Bourne guy. I'm a Bourne Identity, Bourne Ultimatum, Bourne Supremacy, Jason Bourne. I'm a Jason Bourne dude when it comes to like the Mission Impossible, like one hero against this opposition type of thing. I'm a Bourne guy.
So I had one more movie unpopular opinion. Had a couple more things written down. I'll kind of get them your opinion on them real quick here. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we talked about I prefer bottled beer over draft or can. I know you had said you're draft man all day.
Yep.
Personally, here's another one. I think Beyonce is overrated.
Oh no.
I don't see it. I don't see it with her music. I mean, hey, entitled to my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. I think she's extremely talented.
Don't get me wrong. She is extremely talented. Yes, I will not argue that. Just not my type of music.
Well, but again, like, does that make her overrated though, or does that just make her just not your cup of tea?
I mean that is a fair point. I mean,
because it's hard for me to say like someone's like overrated unless like I don't like it, and then also like the numbers don't show it, right? It's like to say Beyonce is overrated to be like, well, her music's garbage and like nobody likes it and this, that, and the other, but she still gets praised for it. No, like pretty much everybody likes her music. Like it might not be mine, but she has a gigantic fan base, right?
Absolutely.
I think the same could be said for Taylor Swift too.
Oh, I was actually getting ready to say, yeah, it's kind of the same boat Taylor Swift's in.
Like she doesn't make music for my specific demographic. She has a very specific niche that she kind of went for. But hey, she causes a lot people joy, and who am I to say that? They
like you said,
feel that joy.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, she's very, very talented. I mean, she's a very beautiful woman and very talented in what she does. And just, to me, it's not as great as everybody thinks or says that it is. It's just in my opinion, and, is what it is.
And,
the other...
Well, that's fair, too. That, like, again, I just think, if it's not your cup of tea, that is what it is. Her business acumen is something crazy, right? And that's another thing with, as well as like her husband as well, Jay-Z. He is an extremely good businessman, and he has one of the coldest like lines of all time. He goes, "He's not a businessman; he's a businessman." He himself is a business, right?
Oh, and absolutely, yes.
And Beyonce at this point is a business, right? The Beyonce name is a business, and for her to like kind of like meld that her whole entire career together to make herself a brand, I mean, I gotta respect the hell out of that.
Yeah, and I, like I said, the music themselves. I should clarify. She absolutely, like I said, talented. Beautiful, very business acumen is off the charts. Human being. I mean, she might be the sweetest. She might be the best person on this planet. Just music. I should have clarified. Music is just, I think, is overrated. Just not a fan.
And that's fair. Again, like her music isn't really my cup of tea. There's a few songs that I do enjoy, but they're mostly collaboration songs, like with other people that I like. Same thing with Taylor Swift. There's her shit's catchy though, man. I can't get around that. It's just catchy. That's all I got.
I mean, I catch myself every once in a while, but I'm not a single lady. So anyway, the last one that I had, one of the next to last one that I had was food related. I kind of should have gotten, it is avocado, guacamole, garbage.
Okay, I'm against you on this one. I enjoy the hell out of some avocado or some guac.
Can't do it. It's to me. It's. I don't know if it's the blandness, if it's maybe the texture.
See, that just tells me you've had some shitty guacamoles. Oh, that's all it is.
I mean, maybe that's true. I mean, I could go like grits. Never been a fan of grits. I mean, hummus I don't mind, hummus, but it might be kind of the same texture. But I've just never been a guacamole fan or an avocado fan.
Yeah, I think you just had some shitty guac because.
Don't get me started on bananas.
You don't like bananas?
No. Banana bread. I do like banana bread. Don't do banana anything.
So, okay, but that I can kind of say the same thing on the other end where it's like, I love pasta, but I don't like lasagna. You know what I mean?
Is it the same is it the same like me? I love pickles, but I don't like cucumbers?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it's a whole different flavor, right? The lasagna has like everything that pasta has. It has the cheese, it has the meat, it has the sauce, it has the noodles. I don't like it in the stacks, right? Because it doesn't get cooked evenly all the time. And that really that messes with me. But no, I think you need to get some better guac, man, because if guac is bland and like tasteless, that's some shitty guac.
Maybe. I just never been a big fan of it. So here's the last one. Here's the last one. I wanted to end on this because I believe this is a big one. I think this has gone through our text feed several times. I know I've had this conversation with a lot of people. I will 100% till the day I am off of this earth will say that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. No. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Again, lay your foundation, man, because what are we doing here? Go ahead.
Like, okay, so I get it. It's based off of a company Christmas party.
Yeah.
That the building gets attacked, and it's technically during the winter because it's a Christmas party. Blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you? And I'll give you the opportunity here. What do you? I mean, when you talk about a Christmas or a Christmas in general, what do you associate with Christmas?
The time of year, right? It's winter. It's Christmas. Christmas movies take place around Christmas.
Okay, and their focus is Christmas.
No, not necessarily.
A Christmas Story is focused on the gifts that he gets at Christmas.
Okay.
Let's see here. Home Alone. His family is gone for Christmas.
Yeah, and what does he do? He beats the shit out of people at his house. Like John McClane. What are we doing here?
Let's see. It's a Wonderful Life. Christmas. Yeah. Let's see. What else? I mentioned Home Alone. I could mention Home Alone 2, but it's the same premise. It all is about Christmas. He's beating up and, John McClane's beating the shit out of Russians. That's all it is.
Yeah, but I think, if we're going to go into it, Home Alone's kind of like Die Hard Light. Come on now.
I mean, from an action standpoint, maybe.
He sets booby traps. John McClane sets booby traps. He's fighting off people in like a structure or his house or whatever. John McClane's fighting people off at the Christmas party, right? It's during Christmas time. Not one time did Macaulay Culkin in that movie receive a gift, right, in the first one. It was all about him fighting off and protecting his house. And at this
Christmas time.
Yeah, and at Christmas
because
time.
His family's gone at Christmas.
And at Christmas time, John McClane had to fight off the Russians because they invaded his fucking Christmas party.
I'm trying to think of some more Christmas movies here. Let's see. You got any more off the top of your head?
Nah, that's about all I got.
I will say, too, that, the Home Alone, especially the Christmas Story as well, they weren't released at Christmas time. They were released actually around Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I mean,
but
because
to
you got to build
me,
it up for that, like, yeah.
the season, yeah, I get it. But to me, like, to me, it does not feel like your typical run of the mill Christmas movie.
It's not run of the mill. You got to broaden
Like
your
I said,
horizons on that one, man.
I mean, okay, so we get to the Hallmark Channel. I mean, there's
Yeah.
movies that it's at Christmas time. It's based on talking about, Santa Claus and elves and, gift giving and all that stuff. But there's heartache and, love being to be found and so on and so forth. Does that make it less of a Christmas movie because
No,
it's more about the love story and not Christmas?
no. That's my point. It doesn't have to like exclusively like have Santa Claus and presents in it to be a Christmas movie.
I mean, to me, it does. I think the generalized reason for a Christmas movie is Christmas. And what do you do at Christmas? Gift giving and the weather specifically. Where was the snow in where was the snow there?
I mean, it took place in California. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I mean, still, in Home Alone, it was in Chicago. It was snow.
And it snows all the damn time in Chicago. That doesn't count.
I mean, it really does.
It snows in August in Chicago. Like, what are we talking about?
It's kind of like Oakland, Maryland here,
Yeah. They've seen snow in like every month besides June. It's you know what I mean.
I mean, I know there's probably never going to be a time where we agree that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, not a Christmas movie.
It is.
I just do not think it is.
You know what? Like, I'm gonna do some research, and I will come up with like more specific reasons. I think I've already detailed them enough.
Mm-hmm.
Why Die Hard is a Christmas movie? Yeah. Hey, the first thing that comes up is that why is Die Hard a Christmas movie on Google? Come on, and there is an argument that a movie should have a Christmas-based storyline or theme in order to qualify as a Christmas movie. Die Hard checks both boxes.
Okay, then hear me out on this one. Who was the main actor in Die
Hard? Bruce Willis.
Okay, at his roast, he declared Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. If the main actor in the movie declares that it's not a Christmas movie, think that's a pretty good statement right there.
It takes place. Okay, I'm gonna go down this list here, right? And I agree with every single one of these. It takes place during a holiday office party. It has Christmas music. The Die Hard soundtrack is loaded with Christmas songs: "Winter Wonderland," "Let It Snow," "Christmas in Hollis," and "Ode to Joy." John's wife has a Christmassy name. She may not use the last name McClane, but Miss Gennaro's first name doesn't get much more festive than Holly. There are presents involved. His cop buddy buys snack cakes for his pregnant wife at the convenience store. He gives Holly a Rolex watch as a company present. So there are presents involved.
Okay.
Santa Claus sort of makes an appearance. First person John takes out is Tony as they stumble down the flight of stairs during a fight early in the movie. John sends Tony's body down to Hans in an elevator wearing a Santa hat and the message of "Now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho." It snows at the end, and then the stats don't lie. According to a press release last year from Dish Network, 1.3 million Americans watched Die Hard on Christmas.
Okay. So, and what I'm seeing here is from thepioneerwoman.com. Thank you, thepioneerwoman.com. They do both explain, yes, it is a Christmas movie. They give 5 examples. And then, no, it is not a movie, or it's not a Christmas movie. Here's number 1. It's simply too brutal. There's a lot of action, fight scenes, and gore, which typically Christmas movies do not have in them.
Home Alone.
Number 2, there wasn't gore in that, but anyway.
The man steps on a nail and gets a hot iron on his face. Are you kidding me?
Still didn't see blood. While the story takes place on Christmas, the timing of the movie doesn't really have an impact to the plot at all. Some even go as far as saying that if Die Hard took place during the summer, it would be the exact same movie, minus the Santa hats and snow. Fair point. Number 3, Die Hard had a July premiere date. Enough said.
Okay.
It's not a Christmas movie.
It doesn't. I don't care when it's released.
The biggest thing is in that whole argument is if you take out the snow, if you take out the Christmas party, the plot doesn't change. So why does throwing in 50 extras at a Christmas party and a little bit of fake snow make it a Christmas movie?
I'll go back to Home Alone. It could be the same thing with just a normal vacation. They left his ass at home.
But I mean, come on.
You know what I mean? Tit for tat here.
I mean, okay, maybe I see your point a little bit there, that it could be the same movie. You're right. They left his ass at home. But guess what happened? It happened at Christmas, which made it even more exciting. I mean, you're going to watch a Christmas movie if the kids left at home.
Invaded at Christmas. You know what I mean? They picked the happiest time of year, which is on brand, for them to try to ruin it.
I mean, that's, like I said, that could be a conversation for another day too. But I'm interested to see the people that watch this video or listen to this on your platforms. I want to see what you all think. Like, pro, con, what, yay, nay, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes or no? In Ethan's opinion, it is. In mine, 100%. It is not. So, on that, buddy, I think that's a good place to stop here. So, you got anything else you want to add?
It has been today,
but it was a good one though.
It was a good one. It was fun. I enjoyed that.
So, you got anything else you want to add before we say our au revoirs?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, we don't talk about it much on here, but it's something that I'm pretty passionate about now. U.S. Open for bowling is happening right now. It's the most brutal tournament of the year for the PBA pros, and good luck to get those guys out there. I know some guys are struggling on the pattern right now, and we have someone that we know is in the tournament currently, and good luck to him. I don't know if you want to go ahead and let everybody know, because you know more than I do, but good luck to him, and watch. It's this coming weekend, I think, is when it's on TV. So hopefully we see him on TV again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that can kind of lead into later on down the road. We do actually have one bowling episode planned for you guys.
I like to have multiple.
I'm trying for the second one. It really is going to depend on how well we do. Like I said, the more subscribers we get, the more likes we get, things like that. The guests are going to be able to get the higher and higher that we can go. So we definitely want you guys to like and subscribe to these episodes. And we're really doing our best and having a lot of fun doing it. So thank you first and foremost to everybody who has already liked and subscribed. So we definitely have a lot of big plans for this the show. So like I said, if that's all you got, that's all I had. I know it's been a long one, but it's definitely been a fun one, and looking forward to the next episode as well.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you guys for watching, listening, wherever you are. And, episode 5 will be coming soon. So for Ethan Landis, myself, hope you guys have a great day, great night, whenever you're listening. And peace.
Later.